Welcome to the Matriarch Method, where power meets purpose, wisdom leads by example, and women run the show.
Hello, hello.
What's up?
Hello, hello. How weeks?
Good. I feel like it's been a good week. I got sick on yesterday. I got sick Sunday, so yesterday, but it like lasted 5 hours and then I was fine. So I don't know what the fuck that was. I guess my immune system being a bitch. Love that.
Yeah, I had a
I
little
feel like there's
thing. And I'm finally percent enough to podcast.
I feel like there's always this point where, like, a few times a year where stuff is going around, but I
Mhm.
feel like in a way, like, something's always going around at the same time. I don't know.
Dude, no, that's
I don't.
accurate, but I haven't gotten sick since 2023, and the fact that it was just like literally a little quickie sicky, and then I'm fine. I'm like, yo, I'll take it. I'll take a quickie sicky.
Especially in prep.
Dude, right? Right? Especially when your body's just like running off of like less nutrients because you're either eating less and or expending more. So it's kind of like I appreciate myself. I'm gonna give myself an award for getting through that. I appreciate me.
I went to the Detroit Pro this weekend. That was cool. It was really cool. Like the black backdrop. I don't know if you guys watched it, but like the black backdrop and like I just feel like they should always have a black backdrop for every show
Mm,
that it just made the quality of the physiques look so much different. So it was
kind of like
cool.
when you do check-in photos.
Yes.
That was Fuad's, right? Wasn't that his first one?
Yes.
Oh, I'm glad it went well and like it was ran well, ran nicely,
Yeah. Ran well. Yes.
ran well,
No.
did
Nicely.
good.
No, no, it was really cool. It was actually one of my favorite shows, like pro shows that I've been to, because the auditorium was really small. Well, it wasn't small, but it was smaller to the point where the whole place was filled with people.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you'll go to shows and it's like really spread out, even the pro shows.
Mhm.
And so it was considered a smaller show, but it was like the crowd was like lit. Like it was cool to have everyone just like into it. Um, so I would like to see more shows like that. Like that would be sick.
Hmm.
So
I love that. Dude, yeah, I'm looking at some of the photos. It makes their physiques pop for sure, just like it does when we do our check-in photos. But obviously, since the lights are much better, it's like it
yeah.
almost looks fake. You know what I'm saying? Like it looks so crisp, it looks edited.
Mhm. That's a well, so back in the day, like everything was super simple, right? So that's how they used to do shit. Like
Mhm.
before it's all um like promoters in the background and shit like that, you know? And I just think it made the show, I don't know, just so much it made it feel like it was higher quality, like it was a production. And the fact that the crowd was also equally like invested in what they were seeing, you could hear people cheering and stuff. And people were paying attention to the show the
Mm,
entire time. Like, you know how a lot of people walk in and out and stuff? Like
yeah,
people were there. And it was cool. Like you remember on like Pumping Iron when like Arnold is posing and the whole crowd is like, that's how it felt.
that's so
Like
nice.
that's how it was cool as fuck. So I would love to see like more shit like that. That was awesome.
More professionalism. I like that. Well, good job, Fuad.
Good job. Thanks for if you ever listen to this, thank you. Got a good show.
I'm sure he appreciates that feedback. 'Cause I'm sure it was really nerve-wracking for him to, host his own show and like do all the things that he needed to do in order to like be a show promoter. So I'm sure like the amount of like hours that he spent working on that and making it run as seamless as possible, as well as having like the prize money, wasn't it like 25 for the winner for the open guys? Like it was way more than 10. So that was pretty cool too.
Yeah, I don't I mean, I'm saying that the whole crowd is paying attention, but I obviously didn't pay attention to that, so I don't even know what the prize money was. I don't remember.
I feel like it was like a decent chunk of change because I remember listening to it on the Real Bodybuilding podcast, how he was like, yeah, it's no longer like doing like $10,000 for like winning a show. It's like actually like paying the athletes, considering how much time and effort, energy, but then also funds, especially for the open guys, since they're using more shit. So I think that's awesome. That's fantastic.
Yeah, and it was him, Ben Chow, and then someone else that like did the whole show. It was like a group of them, like
Mhm.
those guys. It was cool.
Good, I love that. I love that. I'm super, super glad that you went and super glad that obviously the show was run well. And hopefully that's maybe like an example for the future shows to like, it's not that
I
the
think it will
sponsors are
be.
bad, but like maybe make it instead of about being just about the sponsors and highlighting them in a different way, like highlighting the athletes, because that's who the people come to see. But I'm a nobody.
Why don't we just
here.
put why don't we just put the promoters like stuff like around the part
Why can't
where
we
it's
just give them
at?
like a fist bump? Like, thank you, appreciate
Like that would be awesome. But yeah, anyway, that was the most exciting part of my week.
you. I mean, that's exciting to me.
Hmm.
Liz, you're doing good. Any fun things in your life?
Uh, you could say that. Uh, but,
What?
You want to divulge?
but I'm like, is it time to talk about that yet? I'm in the early stages of seeing someone, so we'll just say that. But not enough to bring it up fully on the podcast. So that's what I've been up to.
Oh, okay. She out here. I hope you don't like lose all your hoes by like saying that. Like,
No hose to worry about.
uh-oh. Am I the only one with hoes? Oops.
We call them prospects, suitors.
Yeah.
Okay. So, topic today is the weight of social media. And we wanted to talk through this just because as a contest prep coach or as a coach in general, like it is tough and a different ball game when you're dealing with social media as a female. It's something that we talk about all the time amongst ourselves. And so if we know that we are or have had, some struggles with social media and how to present ourselves, we know that other people feel the same. So this is probably going to be a really big topic. Just because Instagram, TikTok, or however you market your socials or your business is going to be through social media. Everything's through social media now. We don't have commercials anymore unless you're on YouTube and you have commercials for YouTube. But even so, YouTube is social media. So everything is ran by social media. And that's why this is so important.
Yeah. And it goes so much further than just like putting shit out there. Like, especially like when you're newer, like, yes, you were going to figure out like who you want to market to and what your style is, and that will change and evolve. But at the same time, you also have to understand your level of professionalism and who you are marketing to and who you are wanting to work with and the quality, not just quantity. Because it is something where you do need to show up, but you also don't want to just shit post. You know what I'm saying? And like people that have like had a lot of skin in the game, like, yes, like their post quality compared to 10 years ago versus today is obviously maybe at a much higher caliber. But even the most simple post, I'm thinking of like Austin Stout, where he literally just like screenshots his fucking Facebook posts and upload that to Instagram. All three of us in here just share that almost nonstop because he has some real bangers, right? But obviously he's not like paying for Canva Premium and doing like little artsy fartsy posts, but like he doesn't need to, right? But I do think as females, it is important to understand that you need to know who you want to work with and you need to know how to market to them while making sure that you uphold a level of professionalism because a lot of females, like, they do use their body and that can be very profitable. But also, if you're not trying to work with that level of target audience, then maybe it doesn't make sense for you to use your body in that manner, or maybe think about using it in a way that's more productive to your audience. And so when it comes to like considerations of at least when it comes to marketing on social media, you need to understand that your presence has power, but it can also really cause your downfall if you're not using that power wisely.
Yeah, like I was just talking to a mentor of mine today and we were talking about this topic, which is pretty timely.
Mhm.
And I was telling him that I'm aware like of what certain types of marketing for a female will do.
Mm.
So like if you are constantly using your body in in ways that I don't want to say are unbecoming, but like that there's no judgment here. You just have to know who that's going to speak to. So if
Mhm.
you're going to post a lot of photos of your body, or maybe you're living your best life and you're in a bikini all the time, showing your booty. I love it, girl. We love it. We love that you're your authentic self. But if I do that and I want to have a certain type of competitor, or maybe I want to work with males, or maybe I want to work with a certain population that does not resonate with that. I'm not going to attract the clientele that I'm looking for. I'm just not. That's not going to speak to them. If I want to attract clientele that are looking up to me for the body that I have, which is going to be a lot of lifestyle people more than likely, maybe people that don't know as much about fitness, bodybuilding, things like that, they're going to see my body as an inspiration. And then they are going to resonate with that because they want something that I might have. Or maybe they think I feel great about my body and they just want to feel great about their body. They're resonating with that, right? If we're thinking about, maybe people that are in the bodybuilding community, for myself, for example, or like a little bit more advanced functional health coaching, like they're going to be looking for education. They're
Right.
going to be looking to see your results and to see how you have done it, like what you are doing with your clients. And so those two things are fine, but one speaks to one audience and the other speaks to a different audience. So you have to be very clear about like what you want and who you want to attract.
Yeah, and this is why for me, I decided to go the route of having like the two separate pages. And on my business page, it is very much the athletes that I coach, the educational pieces, things like that. And then my own progress is on my personal page, which people follow as well. But it's not like I'm like all about that on my business page. People can go to my business page and see what I'm doing, the type of education, the type of coaching I do, that type of thing.
And I love that because we each have different perspectives on how we use socials to highlight the work we're doing, our athletes are doing, or maybe just our services. And I used to have a like MyoStrength page, and I did find that to be just unenjoyable and cumbersome. And like that didn't work for me. But obviously Liz loves it. So it's again considering what you need for your target audience, your business, and your own fucking sanity for that matter. Because at the end of the day, the people that I want to work with, I don't have like a niche audience that I want to necessarily like crunch down on. So I show everything. I show the educational pieces. I show the side by side comparisons of my athletes, both contest prep and Gen Pop lifestyle. I have my own personal progress up there. I do have things even pertaining to like my relationship because the people that I'm trying to work with, I want to emphasize that I'm with you. I work with real human beings who have a real life. So therefore, I show you my life. I show you what I'm doing, what I'm creating, who I'm working with, right? And that is very intentional. But before, I really struggled finding like who I wanted to work with because I thought I wanted to work with like only just bodybuilders, especially the ones that were so freaking hardcore that they like, brought their food scale to like a sushi restaurant, for example, because I thought that I was that person and I wasn't. It turns out that was not the move for me, both as a bodybuilder, but also when it came to coaching. So it's like I had to pivot and I had to reflect, and therefore I had to reflect that reflection on social media and then stick with it, right? And so it's also reminding yourselves that through the different types of content that you'll post on social media, whether it is your client wins, your own educational materials, marketing stuff, that like you want to make sure that that is like truly authentic and representative of who you want to work with and who you are, which again goes back to even our first few podcasts on making sure you have your pillars, your voice established, so that way you are being again authentic, kind of like with what Britt was saying and how she wants to reflect. So that way it comes across as real and genuine, not fake and proofy.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think it's important
I
to
think
have like the pictures, the educational pieces, but then also have some things that show more of like the personality or who you're going to be in conversations with your athletes too, because you can be the smartest coach, but people also want to know that they're going to kind of like vibe with you, especially, most of us have some sort of time commitment there. It's like, okay, I'm going to be talking to you every single week. We better get along on like that level too. So just kind of like putting yourself out there as well. It's like,
We
yeah, we
better
gotta
get
talk to each
along.
other all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, because now people don't this is the thing, is that we can all do the same thing. Like myself, I could do what Ashley does, Ashley can do what Liz does, and all around the circle.
Mhm.
But people purchase to work with the personality that they're looking at. So like there does have to be some sprinkles of you in it. It just how you continue to speak to that audience, if it even matters at that point, like when you're being authentic and showing your life, you you want it to still speak to the values that you have, right? So and showing who you are, because who you are is who you're going to attract, if that makes sense. So like Ashley just said, I thought I wanted to work with this audience because that's what I thought I was. I started changing over time, and then my client base started changing over time. So when I'll give a good example of this too for myself. When I was competing and I was training for figure, I had a lot more figure competitors. I had a lot more women that were looking to develop their upper body and even a little bit more attraction from men as well.
Mhm.
Now that I've switched to, I still have a lot of guys, but now that I've been changing like my division and how that division expresses, it has now pushed a different audience that resonates with me. So now I'm getting a lot of women that want to build their glutes. I'm getting a lot of women that wants to express themselves a little bit more feminine because they've seen the transition from what I was to what I am. So now I'm attracting that a little bit more than I was. I'm not trying to, but that's who I am now. So as you change and as you develop and as you put yourself out there more, you will notice that as you develop, your clientele base might change depending on what your values are.
Mhm.
I used to be just like, I'm hitting my programming exactly. I am, if I go out to eat, I'm tracking it, all of that. And that's how I coached. It's different now for me. And how I coach through that with others is different now. And even my clients that have been with me for years can tell that there's been shifts in me over time as well. And so that's important to realize, is that you're not going to stay the same person. And so who you attract won't be the same over time as well.
Absolutely. And I think that also is important when it comes to like collabing and networking with other people is if you are, for example, like let's say someone has decided to niche down on bodybuilders, just as an example, like it doesn't make sense to have like the creators of Dutch doing an Instagram live and talking about a Dutch test. Like, should you know that as a coach, the functional health? Yeah, probably, because you're going to be running into a fuck ton of health issues with your athletes, most likely. But it doesn't make sense to highlight that on your socials because bodybuilders don't care about health as much as probably they should. So, like, you having the creator of Dutch, someone like me, I'm going to nerd out on that. I'm like, yo, I'm gonna listen up because I care about estrogen detox, right? Bodybuilders don't care about that shit. I made that mistake early on. I was so like ballsy from my education because I enjoyed learning and gaining that experience. I wanted to share what I was learning. But then, like I said on the other podcast, that I think it was last week, I started getting coaches looking at me because they wanted to learn what I was learning. I was like, fuck, like I'm not getting athletes, right? And I was like, why am I not getting athletes? I wasn't speaking to athletes. And so now, even if you go way back to where I'm doing scrolling, by the way, that's my scrolling feature. But if you scroll way back into my social media, it was just like education. Not that that's bad, but I was speaking to the wrong target audience. I was collaborating and networking with the wrong people. But now my collaboration, not only is it consistent, which is another variable that you should be mindful of, it is again diverse. It is doing Goddess Glam and talking about bikini competitions. I am talking with a functional health coach who's also one of my clients tonight to tell about like her struggles with perfectionism and how that was ruining her functional health and how working with me, we fixed to correct that. It's also talking with, like IFBB pros. It's talking with like, Dutch creators, for example. It is just a wide variety of different types of content to pick out someone who would want to work with me. So I show my personality. I show why I think this is important, but also pick topics that I think other people either might be struggling with or would like to learn more about. Again, very intentional, but if you're not wanting to coach like me, or you're not wanting to coach athletes that I want to coach, then it is important to understand that your collaboration needs to be just as reflective as your marketing materials and your education and the clients that you work with when it comes to attracting that.
Right. And you talked, I think, last time about like talking over people's head. And I
Mm.
think that's really important is because let's talk digestive health. I think making a post that's educational about low hanging fruit to help improve your digestion, that would be a good educational post. But like going into the like nitty gritty of like what you see on a GI map, like a lifestyle athlete for me would be like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Like, what?
Don't worry, neither do I.
So it's like, remember who you're talking to. And for me, who does mainly lifestyle, I know that sometimes I used to overthink it a lot of things I needed to post it about. And then I had to remember a lot of the people coming to me are starting from ground zero. Like they just need the most basic advice. So I'm thinking at my level as an athlete, like, oh, like I do all these detailed things. People don't need to know that. They need to know the very, very basics. And that can be a lot easier to post. And it might feel silly or too basic if you've been in it for a long time or living this lifestyle for a long time, but you just have to remember where people are sitting at when they're going to come to you.
We do forget that, right? We forget what
Mhm.
we didn't know because now we know so much. And then we're like, oh, but what of all the things that we don't know because of where we're at in our education and our confidence level as coaches? But in the beginning, like think about like Brett, me and you, our days at Ping, right? Like at Ohio University, like, oh my gosh, like thinking about what we didn't know then and what we needed to hear, like that's something where again, like even going back to the foundations and like the basics, like that is why once you like master those, why the complex stuff is like easier to understand because it's just like you're building upon that. But if people don't have anything to build upon, like Liz said, ground zero, then like you throwing like all this complexity at them, they're not going to be able to handle it, right? And at least not for long term. And then they're going to get burnt out, right? So it is really important to also understand that your social media needs to reflect reiterating the basics and building upon it because you also want to understand that like some people before they feel comfortable to even think about hopping on a sales call with you, they will follow you not for days, not for weeks, not even for months. I've had one client followed me since high school, and she's kept up with me since high school, hire me. And that was, okay, 11, 12 years. The idea of nurturing is so important and to pay attention, not to get caught up in numbers and, lose your head to those, but use them as trends. Much in like bodybuilding, we focus on trends, not specific numbers. So like keep up with people that keep up with you and think about like what problems are they trying to solve? Because eventually when clients and prospective clients warm up to you, they're going to start engaging with you because they're going to start trusting you, right? Listen to their problems and cater that educational material to them because if there's one person struggling with that problem, how many hundreds of thousands of people are probably struggling with the same thing? And it's likely going to be very basic to you, but to them, it's going to be life changing.
Yeah, I think some of the
Yeah.
like silliest or like most simple things in my brain that I've posted like on stories or stuff, I'll get like the most responses of like, oh, I want to see more of this type of thing. And I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, like to me, I've been doing it for 10 plus years. And I'm like, oh, like that's just how I live my life, But again, most people aren't living their life that way. So it's like just sharing those things.
Yeah. And if like I was talking to my friend about this at the Detroit Pro, and I was telling them that I feel like sometimes what people need, like the people that follow me, what people need to hear, I'm like way past the the education that they are looking for. Because in my brain, like I've been doing this for so long and learned so much that there's some stuff that I think is common sense and it's not common sense to most people. Like so
Dude,
when
yes.
you know what I mean? So it's like there's going to be some stuff that you want to post, but you're like, oh, that's like simple stuff. Like, I don't really want to post that. Or maybe you don't encounter that, but I encounter that sometimes. And it's because are, all my female friends are fucking badass and they're all coaches and they all know this. And I know this. But remember, like, you're trying to talk to your potential clients. So, like, anytime you're posting, anytime you're putting something on social media, you are talking to the person that could potentially hire you a year from now or
Mhm.
2 years from now. You're not doing that. You're not doing this for tomorrow. We're not doing this to get a client today. Like we're doing this to get an athlete 3-4 years from now potentially, because they're going to see your development.
Yeah.
And I think that we lose sight of that. And we're looking for that short term, but these are just things that are you're checking off the boxes as a coach on a regular basis by showing up. And social media, if you are using Instagram or any platform to market yourself, you do need to show up. You need to show up often. They need to see your face. They need to see your face like 3, 4, 5 times a week.
Yep.
So like however you like to do it, I'm very active on my stories. I get a lot of engagement on my stories. So I'm always on my stories.
Yep.
Some people get a lot more engagement and shares depending on how good they are at sharing and what types of content they're sharing. They might get a lot more views and things on their hard posts. But really the main thing, like Ash said, is consistency. Like you need your face to be there. Or you need your expressions to be there so that people can resonate with you. If they don't know you exist, they can't resonate with you. Like if they don't know how you speak or what your methods are, there's no way that they can make that connection. Fuck the people that don't connect with you. Fuck them. Like not in a bad way, but like if you're stopping yourself because you're afraid of who doesn't connect with you, that's the wrong thing to be thinking about.
100%.
You need to think about who is connecting with you and who will connect with you.
And on top of, like Britt said about showing up and being consistent, also considering diversity when it comes to social media. So for example, like Britt said, she's active on her stories. You have to understand that there are people that are like me that do the scrolling. You have the tappers that do stories. You have people that like to take a poop and watch reels. I also do that because I send Britt a lot of reels when I'm pooping. Like you have
I
different
send selfies when I'm pooping.
Yeah, exactly, right? But like everyone consumes media in a different form or fashion. There are some people that like maybe are of an older generation that still like Facebook or are of a newer generation where they really like YouTube. And there is our generation that has podcasts, right? So what do I do? Okay, well, this is now my 3rd podcast, which I love podcasting. I love talking to people that fill up my cup. And I include Liz and Britt as part of that like social group that like help to uplift me and make me want to be better. So therefore, doing a podcast with them, it doesn't take away from me. It adds to me. It makes me happier, right? I get to also share who I am and share my thoughts and my education and my expertise on a different platform to someone that maybe doesn't know what Instagram is or how to use it, but they like listening to podcasts, or maybe they're on YouTube searching like, biohacking shit. And then this pops up because it's part of health. It's like, there are different ways that people can see you and absorb you and your content and your expertise, but also keeping in mind that if you are someone that wants to attract like 20-year-old, just as an example, okay, I'm sorry, but downloading Facebook or like seeing if MySpace still exists, that's not your move. Like you need to be thinking about Instagram. You need to be thinking about TikTok. You need to be thinking on like what is going to be the next big thing and get on that and stay on that. So that way the people that are into newness because they're young and they want to be hip, like they're seeing you. And I think that's also really important when it comes to like diversification of your social media portfolio.
How do you guys feel about like scheduling your posts? Do you guys do that, or are you more like doing it on a whim
So
type?
I'll speak on this because
Yeah.
I have been playing with scheduling my posts. And honestly, if you are trying to not stress out about what you post, scheduling out your posts is a fucking game changer. Like I've done it like 3 times, and every time I wake up in the morning and I go, "Oh shit, I don't have to post anything because it's already scheduled because I already did it." Like, and so if you want to do that, I've highly recommend, especially if you're busy as fuck and you have like the time to set like, a couple hours out of your week to just schedule out like your posts, that makes a huge difference. You want it to be to where if you were to step away and you had to take some time off, you would still be visible.
Mhm.
Like you would still be there. I know content creators. This is the thing, is that we're coaches, not content creators.
Yep.
But I know content creators that have shit scheduled out for 3-4 months that if they died, people wouldn't even know. Like, I'm not trying to be a bitch.
No, I
I'm
know.
not trying to be
Like,
insensitive.
damn.
But if they died, If they died, nobody would know because they have things scheduled out 3, 4, 5 months in advance because that's their job. Their job is to create content. So they create content and they schedule it out so that if they were gone, they would still be able to make their money.
Hmm.
So if they want to go on a vacation, they're still able to make their money. So if you are wanting to be able to have a life where you don't need to constantly think about what you're going to post for that day and overthink it, then schedule out your posts. However, there are some times where, or there have been a couple times where I scheduled and I wanted to post something else for that day because it was relevant.
Mm-hmm.
And so all you have to do is reschedule the post.
Yep.
You can tell Instagram to not post it for the day and instead push it back to the next day or a couple days from then. And if you have stuff that you know you're going to want to share, like this weekend, I have an athlete competing, for example. I know I'm going to share a bunch of shit from that. So I probably don't need to schedule out any content for this weekend. But during the week, yeah, I might schedule out content because I'm working. So I hope that helps. But I didn't think it was that big of a deal to schedule out your content because people kept telling me to do it because I'm like, I'm so busy. And I started to, and it's changed some stuff for me. So
I have as well, and I do like the idea of like when you like quote unquote clock into Instagram, like during the day, like when you like I said, clock in the first time you open up that freaking app. Like it is nice to be like, oh, that's right, I already scheduled a post, and then also like there are some times where when you are a newer coach where you have like not enough things really to do with athletes where it's like you have time to think about like content creation and education. So it's like if you were doing like a deep dive, is that's what I call them when I was really into education, especially on the functional health stuff, I would like do deep dive and take notes. And then to solidify what I learned is how will this help people, right? Because it's really cool to learn about estrogen dominance and the liver detox pathways, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. But like I'm sorry, Nancy, the 40-year-old mom with 2 kids that has estrogen dominance and, feels really crappy in her body, doesn't care about, sulfurification or like eating broccoli sprouts. She wants to know why she feels like crap all the time and needs help with that. So it's like, thinking about doing your deep dives, and then how does that apply to your target audience? Creating posts that look professional that again aren't speaking over and above people's heads, that have like the educational, the why you're feeling this way, again, noticing like symptoms to feelings and then what to do about it in little easy to digest either swipe posts, or maybe you want to do like a short little reel or something that is engaging but not overwhelming to help said Nancy to where she then trusts you. And then from there, she's now like eyes on you and follow along with you. And I think that is really important to like think of like your presence on social media as a book, like a story, right? Chapter 1, you don't know whether or not the main character dies or not, because that would make a terrible book, right? You want to get to know the character. So you set the scene, you get to know their quirks, what they like, what they don't like, what their house looks like, their school. Like you learn about the character, you become invested in the character. So then when shit starts to go down, oh, it pulls at your heartstrings. You're like, oh, I hope they pull through. I want to see them win. I want to see what happens. It's a real page turner. Your social media should reflect that, right? It should be a page turner. Like, in a way, it sounds kind of fucked up because we want people to live their own lives, but they also don't want we don't want them to forget about us, which is why it isn't still important to show up. But again, thinking about the quality of your post and making sure that it's relevant to maybe something that means something to you, or maybe a struggle that your athlete's having that you helped them to solve their problem. Again, showing, like Liz said, conversations between the athletes and you is really important to not only trust, but also to show how you coach and like maybe the things that you think of when you're troubleshooting and problem solving, like that should again be part of your narrative, be part of your social media story, and not just be like I said, like you start at the beginning and then it's the end. Cause like that's a terrible book.
Yeah, and I think for me, a lot of like I'll have the like B said, when you're planning content or making posts ahead of time, you have that shit on Canva made up already, or you have reels pre-recorded or whatever. But in check-ins, you're gonna get athlete photos where you're like, damn, I need to post these. Or you're gonna get a conversation where you're like, man, I feel like I've said this to 3 of my athletes in the past week. Maybe I should just make a whole post about it. So you'll get those spur of the moment things, and that's where again you can reschedule the other posts and do the thing that feels right in that moment. But I think those things are going to be important. And that's where I come up with a lot of my content is I'm like, man, I keep seeing this topic over and over again. Let's talk about it, you know?
Mm. I like it. I feel like that should be
Yeah.
maybe a new thing that you consider on your socials. Let's talk about it. Like, you know, like that could be like, again, a whole series, right? Like even series where people are like, oh, what's next? Like I started a new series where it's the female athlete in functional health. So tying in like PCOS or endometriosis or maybe like Hashimoto's because competitors, because they put their body through hell, end up developing PCOS, or maybe they have PCOS and still want to be a bodybuilder, or, you know, maybe they developed an autoimmune because of poor coaching in the past, or maybe how they treated themselves, but they still want to compete. It's like, that is a complexity all of its own where maybe some coaches, I mean, quite frankly, they don't want to fucking deal with it. I'll deal with it. I love dealing with it because you're still a person to me. And that goes back to my core message of I work with real people and real people have real problems. And sometimes those are health problems, especially as female athletes. So even then, like thinking about doing like 3 or 4 mini series or, you know, easy to digest content where it is really good to share. It's like, you know, heavy hitters, like I said in the beginning, like Austin Stout does, but also reminding yourself of your voice. If you're someone that is like, maybe like Liz, where you're like genuinely good hearted, like coming across as a dick for Liz, that's not going to be her. So therefore it's going to be weird. And we're probably not going to share it. Right. So we're going to be like, yo, Liz is having a bad day. Like, leave her alone.
Yeah.
I think a random thing too is like, I tend to maybe overthink or just forget how long ago I posted something. So I'll be like, oh, I talked about that already. And I'll look back and the thing I talked about was literally 2 years ago. And I'm
It's like 2024.
yeah, but I can talk about that again. And I think a lot of us do that is we're scared to repeat information, but you have to remember like not everyone is seeing every single post of yours either. So it's okay to like touch on the same topic multiple times.
Liz is calling me out. She saw that I reposted my protein post. That's again doing exceptionally well. And I posted it like almost a year and a half ago, where it was like, you know, picture of me and my favorite protein sources as a bikini athlete. But like, it's good information. There are some women that still don't know how to hit a protein goal. So it's
I was
like
just talking to someone about that today. I think I'm eating 180 grams of protein, and they're like, "How do you do that?" And I was like, "It's in 4 meals. It's so
yeah,
easy."
spread it out, like
Yeah.
calculate it.
You're eating 180 grams of protein right now? 180 grams? Oh my God. Like, I mean, I've never had 180. I'm also 4'11. So like I've never had like super, super high protein, but right now mine's at like 150, I think.
If I could eat,
Is that right?
dude, if I could eat 250 grams of protein every day, I probably would. Cause like I like eating meat,
I-
but like I know
I-
it doesn't do anything for me. So I'm not going to.
I was about to say, I feel like as an ego stroke, I need to have like 180 grams protein.
You're like, I
I
can
just
do that.
really like ego stroke. Like, I definitely need that. But something I don't want to like forget to talk about. Um, even though you want to speak to athletes, still use your community to help you, like help the community, like use your coaching community to help you help the potential people that might sign on with you. If you need to lean on your girlfriends or maybe even your male friend clients on like posting and you're able to, I think we used to like do this a lot in our earlier days, and these are still our early days in my opinion, but like in our earlier days where we would ask, you know, can you read this over and tell me if it makes sense? Am I, you know, is there anything that you would change? So it's important to like not just compete with other women and other coaches in general. It's important to network, and you can do that on social media. Um, Social media is very interesting because it doesn't tell the full story. A lot of people will make assumptions on who knows who and who's hanging out with who. I just want to let you know you never really know. You never really fucking know. So don't overthink that shit. You never really know. However, lean on your community if you have one. It's important because especially for people like us, women like us that are on our own coaching, we're not with a team, at least not at this time. You're going to need friends. You're going to need people that you can lean on and you can triple check. Like if you're showing up, like if you're showing up appropriately on social media. I literally just asked my friend Rachel Sedgwick a couple days ago. I was like, can you tell me what I can do better? Like, can you go on my socials and tell me what you see? Like, am I showing up appropriately? Can I do a little more? Can I do less? Like stuff like that. Um, Ask for real feedback and lean on your friends because they'll tell you it straight, especially if they want to see you win too. So
Yeah, I think that's huge. And one thing I think all of us do from time to time is we'll tag each other and post. Like if I post something and I think either of you would vibe with it, I'm gonna tag you.
sure.
Tag it, share it, whatever. But you could do that. Like your coaching friends, like they might not reshare it, but they'll usually comment or engage with it, and that can help too. Just get it seen a little bit more. And I do think it's important to have friends that you can ask for those things, like you were saying, B. And like I have a friend that I train with sometimes at the gym, and she knows that I'm trying to like rebuild my YouTube exercise library. So she's like, "All right, like let's plan a day and film the things." And like that's one of those things that I would probably not ask someone to do because that takes a really long time. But I'm like, oh my God, thank you so much. Like I'll buy us coffee, we'll do the gym stuff. And that's really helpful to have someone who's like willing to do that. So I think not being scared to ask for what you need to.
Then pay for it. Like if
Yeah.
you're someone that like if you suck ass with a tripod or you want your stuff to look really professional and you don't have like a creative bone in your body when it comes to like digital marketing, hire someone to take photos and do videography. Like hire someone to create like a website that like links up all of your social media that looks professional. Like in full transparency, I dropped $2,000 on a website designer and damn, honestly, I wish I would have done it 2 years ago. Not that I would have had the money, but like, damn, like there's so many things that I realized I did not know shit about fuck when it came to website design. I was like, I could have been doing so much better, but thank God, like I had the funds to do so. So like investing in that, like it didn't hurt nearly as much as it would have like 2 years ago. And granted, now I actually have something to like market. So there's also like that to my advantage. But also coming with social media, like I feel like we should touch on this really quickly, not to like drown this out too much, but understanding that social media is a tool, but it doesn't also come out with its own pressures, right? As coaches, you will likely want to compare your athletes or compare your education or, look at what other people are doing. And if you are not mature enough or if you are not in a good enough spot mentally, you might start to become envious or resentful or roll your eyes or be like, talking bad about that other person. Whether or not they deserve it is irrelevant. It's still impacting your life in a negative way. And so when it comes to social media, being true to who you are, surrounding yourself with good, genuine people that align with you and align with your message, taking time off if you need it, or, setting working hours, like hopefully you should be anyway. Those boundaries are just a big, powerful asset that you cannot ignore. And if you ignore them, there's going to be a world of pain for you mentally waiting for you. I promise you that. But then also, like, remind yourself that, like, what Britt and Liz were saying earlier on, that, like, Instagram is just not the full story. Don't let someone else's, like, highlights, like, we're talking about, like, the good parts in the book where you didn't, like, see, like, the character development and their own sufferings. Like, make sure you remember to celebrate your own wins too. Like for me, like getting a website was a huge win. It was scary to do that because like I'm not the most like technologically savvy. Like I'm not, and that's definitely a weakness that I need to work on. But rather than it just assuming that it is always going to be a weakness, I acted upon it. I spent money on someone that knows way more about me and is asking me questions I never would have thunk. But now it's going to be a better place where if someone does want to hire me, they can see more of Ash Markham. They can see my clients, they can see my education, and they can get a better sense of who I am, especially if they don't have social media. Because some people don't. Like they'll just do email inquiries being like, "Oh, hey, someone told me about you, but I don't have Instagram." And I'm like, "Huh? Like how are you not on the gram? I want that.
Not the
I want to not get on
gram.
the gram."
I picked up a client at the Detroit Pro and she's really good. And I was like, do you have an Instagram? Do you want to see my Instagram? So, cause she was like, I think you're really cool. Like you're a coach or whatever. And I'm like, do you have an Instagram? Have you seen me on Instagram? She goes, no, I don't have an Instagram. And I'm like, huh? Like,
I done a lot recently, and I'm like, what?
hey, chase real dopamine.
That's so much. Yes, exactly. But something I wanted to acknowledge too was, well, Ash, you were talking about like hiring someone to film. I also want to point out though that if you're like a newer coach, don't feel like you have to do that either. I
100%.
think there sometimes is this pressure if you see these coaches who maybe like do have the funds to do that stuff and you're like, oh my God, they have the best camera, they have this like fancy background, they have all these things. It's like you don't need to do that to create reels or TikToks or whatever. It's like just work with what you have. And at some point, yes, you can invest in that stuff a little bit more. But I think there's definitely been times where I compared myself to like coaches who have this whole big podcast studio or something. And I'm like, damn, like mine doesn't look that good, but it's like I can still get my message across. And even people will sometimes comment on mine or like tell me personally, like, wow, like you're so good at like the face to camera videos. You know, it seems so polished. And I sent you guys one last week where like my bloopers are in the middle and I'm
Dude,
like, God
so
damn it. Like
you should have posted that because that is so fucking relatable to me. Because the amount of times I used to make myself cry because I'd be, oh, you dumb bitch, like get it right. And it's like take 52 and you're like having a freaking meltdown because you're trying to make it perfect because you care. But it's so relatable because sometimes you just are a silly little bunny and you get stage fright. Even though, Liz, you freaking owned a national stage in a bikini, like you still fumble over your words making it real. That makes you human, that makes you authentic, it makes you relatable, and I love that shit. I love it.
And like what I do now, because there was a time when I would do that and I would record the same video, like you said, like 52 times. Now I'll just like keep the camera rolling. I'll record it like on my actual camera, not like within Instagram or TikTok or whatever. And I'll just keep it rolling. And when I fumble over my words, I stop. And then I just start the sentence over where I was at. And then I can edit those little parts out instead of like, I would waste so much time redoing the whole thing I wanted to say like over and over and over again. So we all make those mistakes and just that goes back to you only see the final product when you're looking at other people's pages, but
Yep.
we all have those little oopsies.
I
It's something I
have-
used to do. Sorry, B, you could go ahead.
Sorry. I was just gonna say the reel that I posted last week about PEDs, that I filmed it twice because the first time there was something in my hair and I had all these clips of me like messing up and I was like, okay, I'm gonna just like put them all together. And all of the clips, all like 8, 9 of those clips, I have like this piece of rice in my hair. And I was like, should I just post this? Like it was, you remember how there was rice? It was like,
At least 57 grams of rice in this bowl. And B was popping off about making sure you had the fundamentals mastered. And she had rice in that damn bowl. I was like, you better be spooning that. That is like prime glute muscle growth right there.
I ate it. So yeah, like shit like that's gonna happen. Just try not to get frustrated.
Exactly. And because like it was, I would say not perfect because again, you still had rice in the bowl, but like to you, it was no big thing. You had a great message, but like I shared it because it made me laugh because it was relatable because it's like, she still had rice in that bowl. You better be eating that rice, but it was a great message. And so not only did I get like genuine enjoyment from engaging with my friend, I also spread her message because it was a good message. Right. And like, that's really important as well to make sure that like, you know, when it was like a year, maybe 2 years ago when like we tagged every coach we fucking knew, like
Yeah.
that also got overwhelming as shit because there was some message that I was like, I don't agree with this, but you tagged my ass and I felt obligated to share because everyone else was sharing and I didn't want to be left behind in the pack. It also is important to know who you surround yourself with. And if a message does not speak to you, like, don't share it. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And something
Yeah.
like going back to the spending, like not having to spend money and stuff, something I fell into. I mean, I was not good at budgeting. This is like 10 plus years ago when I first started my Instagram, but like I got really caught up in just spending money on dumb shit to make content. There's like a national everything day, like every single day there's national, I don't know, donut day, national, whatever. Like I would make all sorts of content and recipes and all these things, but I would like spend money to go out of my way to like make content in the sake of like being creative or doing what other people were doing. And that was just like very unnecessary. And I would also be like spending money on lots of athleisure every time like new releases came out. I love my little gym fits, but all my point is that you don't have to spend money to like be doing the latest thing or like doing anything fancy. Like you can really seriously make so many things just with a little face to camera action. You don't need gadgets and props and all these things.
But real talk, Canva Pro is only $120 a year. And
yeah,
that's a hell of a lot cheaper than a $2,000 website designer. So like I first started with Canva Pro. Just real talk. I first started with Canva Pro.
So there's a point though. So this is the thing is that like there's a point where you're going to be able to invest more into your content. If you don't need to do it right now, or you're not hitting a certain point right now, and you're not comfortable like putting in money like that for your content, like maybe, for example, me, I bought a camera this year because it's more convenient for me to have higher quality content and I can afford the camera instead of continuing to hire someone to like, that's a couple $100 for a month of reels. Now I can just purchase my own camera and I don't need to like, I can put that money up front and I don't need to hire anyone.
Right.
And eventually that money I'm going to get back. Right. But not everyone is at that point. And you don't need to stress yourself out about this. Like you don't need to stress yourself out on like if you want to start putting out higher quality content, okay, first maybe start using your your back camera instead of your front camera on your iPhone. Start with that. And get good at that. And then if you feel like you need to do more, hire someone, then you hire someone. And then if you want to buy your own camera like I did, then you buy your own camera. But I mean, I started with the front camera and it was probably an iPhone like 12. And like, that's how I started. Like, and it takes time. Like everything builds on itself and then it gets easier and easier to put out higher quality content if you feel like it. Or you cannot overthink it, be like Austin Style and post screenshots of Facebook posts. Like you can do that too. It depends on how you want to like present yourself.
100%.
So, I think we should also talk about, before we get off, about how there has to be a time where you set aside time away from socials.
Yeah.
Or at the very least be very cognizant of what you are consuming. Cause I like what you said earlier about how there's going to be a time where you are consumed a little bit with comparison to other people. And you don't want the way that you show up to emulate anyone else but yourself. So something that like I say a lot, it's my little like mantra, is chase real dopamine. But chase real dopamine is not just about not being on social media. It's about looking at what you consume.
Yep.
And stay intentional. So like the satisfaction and joy of what is meaningful with your earned experiences, like discipline, connection, and growth and all of that. And in its contrast, like the dopamine hits that we get from people pleasing or getting the likes and shit like that, that's all not real, right? Like we're trying to market ourselves, but we also have to know what's important. And so it's also how you engage with socials. And so if it means that you need to take time away from social media at some point, so that you can feel refreshed and show up as your authentic self, then you do that. But I think it's important, like, especially in this conversation, because it's very easy for people to get a little bit jaded on what actually matters when your job is social media. So.
Yeah. And something that I've done that has been literally life-changing is to like put your phone on do not disturb all the time and to take off all notifications. Unfortunately, as physique coaches, we do not have the pleasure of putting on grayscale on our phones because you're looking at athlete check-in photos and you want to be able to see the differences. And looking at a black and white athlete would be weird to me. But it is one of those things where the color of your phone is addictive. Like you want to see the bright, shiny colors because it mimics outside where we're supposed to be in real life. But the phone and app creators know that. And so everything is bright. So think of Facebook, it's bright blue, bright red notifications. WhatsApp, bright green, red notifications. That's very stimulating to our eyes. Therefore, we want to constantly be looking at it because it's pretty, ooh, shiny. It is so important to put ooh, shiny away. And like Britt said, go outside, go be a person, right? But you have to have those boundaries set. Proper login times, log off times. For me, like we all work from home, right? My office is outside of my bedroom. So after 7 p.m., laptop is shut. Phone is do not disturb. It is plugged into my laptop to charge. It stays here. No phones in the bedroom. Bedroom is for freaky deaky sex time and for sleep time and for cat snuggle time. I am not on my phone scrolling through Instagram, scrolling through Facebook, looking at Sheen stuff. No, that will be done at a designated time in my day. So it's not only having like programmed blocks of times that you like check your emails or check your notifications, but like breaks as well throughout the day. Because while yes, it would be really nice to have like a full day off social media, I do like to highlight my quote unquote Sunday rest day of things that Eric and I do together. Because again, what's my message? I work with real people. Real people need breaks. Real people need to go bake cakes and eat cakes. So I show my time in the lab of me doing something that isn't in the gym or eating my chicken, broccoli, and rice. Well, yes, I show that too. I show the other side of my personhood, which aligns with my core message. So it again is just making sure that like you don't get so addicted to nothing, because I feel like that's where people go wrong. It's like we're so addicted to literally nothing where we get overstimulated because we're not on social media because we're missing out, when in reality nothing is happening.
Yeah, exactly. Like if the app were like gone, what would you do? And who, like, think about it. Who would you talk to? Like, who would you be talking to on a regular basis if you didn't have IG? Like, whose numbers like do you actually have, like, to be able to like connect with them? And so it's hard because we're a generation that has changed a lot, like with the aspect of social media in the fold, because it is another reality. It's like it is a different reality than what you're dealing with. And what is the healthiest thing, in my opinion, is to be able to merge them as much as you can without it being something that's toxic. Like everyone's different in how much they want to share. I'm starting to want to share less and less of my personal life now. And that's healthy for me. That's healthy for me. And some people like to share a lot more about their personal life. Um, and I think that it just depends on what aligns best with you and your overall mental health surrounding that. You just do not want it to consume you to the point where you don't realize that what you're dealing with on your phone is not the entire story for anyone. You know what I mean? So Chase Real Dopamine is really about that. And it's like about looking at how you're being creative, like, and engaging with things that fill your cup. Like, this technically is social media. What we're doing right now is recording and social media, but we're doing this because it fills our cup. That's chasing real dope just as much as it is going outside. Ash having freaky deaky time in the bedroom, that's chasing real dopamine. And putting her phone away, that's chasing real dopamine. Liz could be posting a blooper of herself because that is what makes her happy. That it still has social media involved, but it's something that shows it allows you to be authentic. So like there's so many ways that you can define it. It just is about what works best for you. And I think as you mature as a coach and as you really mature as a business owner, you're going to be okay with like seeing and hearing another person's perspective and being like, I love your perspective and I also have my own.
Yeah.
Like, and at first, you might not be that great at that.
Yeah.
At first, you might just take on a lot of other people's perspectives just because they're there. But as you get to know yourself, like we were talking about in a previous episode, as you get to know yourself, it's going to be so much easier to be like, I feel you. And also, this is what I do. This is what works for me. So.
Yeah. Well, you said some really important things. And I feel like that's why people use social media improperly is they are avoiding themselves. So therefore, they don't know what to define as real dopamine. So therefore, they absorb and project, kind of like a parrot, where it's like they're just reiterating what they're seeing and hearing because they're escaping from doing the inner work because they don't like themselves, because they're scared of themselves. Like I'm was guilty of doing that in the beginning of social media, and I hated it, but I also needed it, and I hated that I needed it. Versus now, it's like I would miss seeing like pictures of my friends or physique updates from people that I like to follow along and feel engaged in their story. But like, I'm still going to talk to Liz. I'm still going to talk to Britt. I'm still going to talk to Ash. I'm going to talk to the other people in my lives because like, while I like seeing photos of them living their life, they're still a part of mine because I know what my life is and I know what truly gives me meaning. But that took time and a lot of inner work and a lot of freaking therapy, if I'm being honest, to get to know me and to like me. And that is like, that's some hard shit too.
Mhm. Oh, good job, guys.
No, I like us.
Good job, guys. Like us. We're cool. Kumba has been fighting with me for this chair this entire time. We've been at odds, and now it's looking at he's annoyed. And
Build his little chain.
I know he looks like such a
Yeah.
G.
he is a G, but he's all cocky now that he has a chain.
Eric did the same thing. We got him a chain, and this motherfucker's ego just went through the roof. Like, I'm not even kidding, dog. Like, he hit over 200 pounds. He started wearing a chain. I might as well be married to a mobster now.
Eric is a mobster for sure. Have you seen him? He's a mobster.
He's something right now. He's something right now, but I definitely got a type. I'll tell you what. I got that FedEx build is what I like. The real tall, lanky FedEx build is my type. Brit's like,
I love
you
that.
relate, but that's good. You don't need to relate.
We all got our all
He knows I have short king syndrome. I like him short.
well, you're
I like him short and stocky and really like,
You like that refrigerator. I like that flag. Liz, what are you into?
like an in between of those. Like they work
That
out,
makes
but
a lot
they're
of
not a
sense.
bodybuilder, you know.
Yeah, dude,
Yeah.
that real talk. That's another like episode of like don't date bodybuilders. Cause like I mean not really, but like real talk.
Kind of.
Sometimes. Cause we crazy.
There
Cool.
can only be
We
so
are
much
crazy.
bodybuilder crazy in one relationship.
In one relationship. There's only so much room.
I definitely got crazier once I started competing. So, and I'm, still not married. So,
Eric and I are gonna be married for 8 years in May. 8.
I'm so proud of you guys. Like, truly.
Goals.
I'm proud of us too, dog.
I think a lot of people don't tell married people that actually have healthy marriages, that they're proud of the work that they put in for each other, because you're essentially making an investment with another person.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot to continue that investment. It takes a lot of time. Like, it takes a lot of putting your phone away and being present with them, freaky deaky time in the bedroom, and a lot of consistent work.
Dude, it really does
So-
though. Like straight up. Like that's like the thing with like bodybuilding, with relationships in life. It is like literally an investment. So it's like about like learning from the past, being present enough with the right now, but then also planning for the future. And that's hard. That is very hard to juggle and to get good at, because like in everything, you have to find your rhythm. You have to find your groove. You have to work together as a team. And like takes fucking time, and it does take work, but I love my marriage and I wouldn't trade it for the freaking world. Like I really wouldn't. Like I give up a lot to keep my marriage, and that includes bodybuilding and coaching, which is like the importance of my marriage, because like I love bodybuilding and I love coaching, but like if it was ruining my marriage, like, and one had to go, that's a no-brainer for me, because like Eric's my person. You know what I'm saying? Like he's
I would let you guys adopt me.
dude, like we're legit, like even though we're not having children, I feel like we have so many quote unquote kids, because like we are maternal and paternal like, but like we just love people. You know what I'm saying? Like we love to help people. Like our whole philosophy is shorter fences, longer tables, because it's like we want people a part of our lives, because people are awesome.
Yeah. I'd let you adopt me for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Any final thoughts, ladies? to conclude?
Yeah, I think this was a good
No.
Cool. I love it. Go chase real dopamine, go touch grass, and we'll see you next week.
Freaky deaky
Right.
time in the bedroom. Bye.
Thank you. Later, ladies.